fabulous. You guys are the stars. What a treat it was, really, really. Every time we do this, it's just such a treat. Of course, Fiona and I are very, very keen on international poetry, or at least poetries from different parts of the world, different languages, and so on. So, so the curation is done in a way that it sparks that kind of dialogue. Mena, your poems, my God, I mean, you talk about, Wales being a small country, but your poetry explodes. It explodes like this. It's just astonishing, amazing stuff, And Geordie, wow. I don't know about this, I have to rethink about this sort of bilingualism, because you guys are at least lucky. In India, there are 26 official languages, you know. I mean, I'm constantly in a given day speaking about 5 or 6 different languages, depending on who I'm with, what I'm doing, and so on, In an Indian currency, it's the same thing is written 26 times. And of course, in terms of dialect, there are over 30,000 dialects in my country. So it's a different ball game completely. But
I'd like to ask Mena. Yep. Sorry. I'd like to ask Mena how she does the translations of her poetry. Obviously, you're bilingual, no problem about that. But do you approach other speakers of English who might help you in the process of translation, or you do it by yourself?
Oh, no, I don't do it by myself. I try to avoid translation completely. I did translate one of the poems I read this afternoon. I did translate Nebbish. Sometimes because I have to, there's no time for a translator to come on board. But I try to avoid translation. Otherwise, if I can translate my own poetry into English, why write in Welsh in the first place? Yeah. And why do something twice? And it's a different kind of activity. And I always remember one of my translators saying that I wasn't worthy of the poet when I translated, because I turn it into something that might sound good in English, but it's lost the essence of what it was in Welsh. So I avoid translation, like the play, or I wouldn't say plague, but you know what I mean. I avoid it, and I'm lucky. I have half a dozen people who want to translate me, and that's wonderful. And I try and keep them as happy as can be, and not interfere too much. Although I do the last edits always, and they always say, it's your poem after all. So I do change a word or two sometimes, yeah.
Mena, there's an interesting concept, since we're talking about translation, especially in my country where the language zones, if you enter a different language zones, you don't understand each other at all, because there's completely different families. So there's a whole school called transcreation, where you almost recreate a poem in the other language. But being, you don't lose any fidelity, but it is not the same poem. So often the same poet is translating his or her work. I understand this whole thing when you have 2 languages and, why do you want to do it in English if you can do it in Wales? But it becomes much more problematic when it comes to, places like India or elsewhere, where just the range and the history and the depth is so vast. So transcreation is a very interesting sort of idea. I don't know.
I think Mena's idea is a very interesting one. The idea of letting go. When Viorica Patea, who's here, she has translated with Melania Stancu my poems into Romanian. As I didn't have any grasp of Romanian, I was very happy to let them work, and I trust them completely. So I thought, why do I have to intervene in English or French translation just because I happen to know the language? So more and more, I'm determined, or I have decided to let go, to not intervene, to not. I mean, unless the translator has a very specific question, or there is something that you have to polish at the end of the process. But more and more, I just wish the translator to do his or her work without me. Even if I know the language, I try not to be present. And I think that's because at the end of the day, the poem is no longer your own. It's something else.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree entirely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pia, you're there. Would you like to contribute? Would you like to say something and put your camera on? Pia?
Pia.
Yeah, Pia, a poet I translated that doesn't use.
Yes, maybe she's gone for a cup of tea. What about Sash?
Yeah.
You're involved with a lot of translations.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you. It was such a lovely reading, but I kept being kicked out, so I kept coming back in. It's really interesting to hear both Mena and Geordie your views on translation, because I translated from Tamil to English, and there is such a control of the language, partly because I translated from Sri Lankan Tamil, because the language is under threat. The poets are really anxious to control what's being translated and what message is getting out. So there is a lack of trust in a way. And because the two families of languages are so different, you've got the way Tamil is written looks different. It's very short lines, end stop lines, and English, long flowing and use of caesura and things like that. I prefer to change it into an English poem. But you do come across a lot of resistance, and then you do wonder where the translator takes over and where the poet has to let go. But I think partly politics has a part to play in my struggles with that. So it's really interesting to hear both of you talk about, your views with your translators.
Yeah, I mean, the translation is a very complex process, I believe, because it's not just translating words. The most difficult thing to translate is culture and sensibility.
Yeah.
And that is very difficult to grasp. Sometimes the languages themselves are obstacles in themselves. Let me say that naturally, the Macedonian language is dactylotrochaic. It's not iambic.
Yeah.
You hardly find any iambic fruit in its poetry or in its everyday conversations. It's dactylotrochaic. And how do you present an English poem which is, let's say, predominantly iambic in a language where trochees are predominant? There are such, I would say, nuances in translations which sometimes present themselves as huge obstacles in translation, because inevitably the music, let's say, of a poet writing in English would differ from the music in translation in my language, in Macedonian, and vice versa. The music of my language would be different in English, but it is inevitable, I would say.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think on that note, we should probably wind up today. What a treat. Again, thank you, Mena. Thank you, Geordie. Thank you, Zoran.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Really
Thank
beautiful.
you.
The people in South Asia and India, it's 10:40 at night, and I know how many people are awake listening to you guys. It's quite something that you can keep them awake. So well done.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks.
Thank you and goodbye. All the best to everyone.
Next
Keep
one.
safe.
You all.
Zoran, do you want to stay on for a second?
Oh, yeah, why not? It's still early in Skopje. It's 7 o'clock.
I'll just wait for everybody else to go.
PA is still there.
Okay. Yeah, now it's just the two of us. Okay, great.
Yes, all right. Well, thank you very much once again, Sudeep, and I really
Not
enjoyed
at all.
it.
You're clearly, I mean, if Fiona and I are doing the series, you're very much the first name that comes up is, you have to
All
be
right.
there.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, but your new poems, my God, I mean, there's something else. They're just something else. I love that whole sequence.
Mm.
Is that the entire sequence?
It's a sequence in the Celestial Pantomime book, and I think I sent it to you, digital version of it.
Oh, the digital. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I sent the whole book in translation. Because
Yeah.
it was published last year by Struga and promoted at the Struga Festival. Here is the cover, very minimalist.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, send me a copy. It's nicer to have it.
Yeah, of course. But I'm waiting for you and for this stupid pandemic to end, and then meet you in person and give you new books and your translation. As much as I like to see what you have done in the past few years.
Yes, yes, lots of things are happening. Yeah, and it's wonderful to see Amir getting the golden wreath. Yeah.
Yeah, it happened last year. I translated his work as well, the whole selection of about 2,500, 3,000 lines. Right? And however, because of this pandemic, it was online mostly. The native poets were present there, following all protocols, but most of the foreigners were broadcast either live or beforehand video materials.
Yeah, 3BB, 1B.
Still faring well. I mean, how's Simi doing?
Shimi's better. Yeah, Shimi's better. Yeah, so it's
My
actually
regards.
we shouldn't be talking because this is still live. Yeah, are you on WhatsApp?
No, unfortunately, I never used WhatsApp. Zoom.
And you're not on Facebook either.
No. Facebook. Once I get retired, which will be this coming September, I will return to Facebook because it was too dangerous as a teacher, to be on Facebook.
Yes.
So a long time ago, I decided to quit Facebook.
No, let me. What is the best way to call you? Maybe Beba's number. She's got WhatsApp or?
No, I believe I could respond on Viber. If you use Viber.
Yeah, I have Viber.
Yeah, I have Viber as well. So
okay, good. So
I can email you the phone number, and we could speak on Viber.
Let's continue that talk on Viber maybe. I'll end the point.
Yes, why not?
Let me end this right now. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All the best, and keep in touch. And
Thank you.
Care. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.